What would you do if you found out you unexpectedly had an additional $10 million to spend? Well, that's a whole nother video for a whole nother time, but I know what the Houston Texans should do with their unexpected $10 million. Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans, and let's talk about the Houston Texans and the rest of the NFL getting a big surprise with an additional $10 million on the salary cap. So the salary cap was officially set this week, and it checked in at just over $255 million. Now, CBS Sports is reporting that most teams projected this to be in the low 240s to mid 240s. So about $10 million in unexpected cap space just showed up. So how exactly should the Houston Texans approach using it? Let's take a look at that cap space and where the Texans sit in relation to some of the other potential big spenders in free agency. And you see here the Texans check in at 6th overall with just about $68 million in cap space. So 67.5 roughly. They haven't used their franchise tag yet. I don't believe they're going to use the franchise tag on anybody. A tag number for someone like Jonathan Grenard would be $21.3 million. Don't believe that's going to happen. For Dalton Schultz, it'd be about double what he made last year, but don't believe the Texans are going to use that. But they check in at 6 with the Colts, Patriots, Bears, Titans, and Commanders ahead of them. Now, when you look at these teams that are ahead of them, the Texans have an incredible advantage that some of these other teams don't have that leads me to believe you'd be more likely to spend some of this money and spend in a big way. You look at the teams ahead of them, and it's a proven quarterback on a rookie deal. And yes, the Colts have a rookie quarterback, but he's not proven. CJ Stroud, a proven commodity in the NFL. And now with $67.5 million in cap space, which is a little bit more than what the Texans expected to have in their projections, they've got a little bit of extra play. So what do you do with that extra $10 million or so? Well, first, for me, it becomes very apparent and very clear if the Houston Texans want to address the running back position in free agency, there's your $10 million or so to do it. $10 million for 2 players that are pretty decent, $10 million for 1 player that's really good. That $10 million can easily be used on the running back position. And that's what I definitely believe they should strongly think about using, the little bit of extra cap space there on the running back position, especially if they weren't thinking about it before. Yes, you want to sign a contract that ages well. You want to have a player that's productive for the duration of that contract. But you also want to be better than you were in 2023 in 2024. One of the chief ways the Texans can achieve that, one of the chief ways the Texans can do that is investing via free agency in the running back position. Maybe it's bringing Devin Singletary back and adding a complement to him. Maybe it's an investment in one of the bigger names in free agency, like Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs or even Derrick Henry. But just simply bringing back Singletary, him, Dameon Pierce, and a late-round rookie, or even a second-rounder, that to me is not good enough for what the Texans are going to want out of their rushing attack and what they need out of the rushing attack in 2024 to maximize what they bring to the table. So spending that extra money, it makes it even easier now to invest in the running back spot because it doesn't take away from hardly anything else that you would want to do as the Texans. If you want to invest in a running back and then also spend big money on, say, a defensive tackle or a defensive end, you can certainly do that. You want to spend big money on a cornerback opposite Derek Stingley, you can do that and still get the running back. That's what the extra $10 million, more so than even before, allows the Texans to do. I felt like they had the money and should splurge for the running back before we found out they had an extra $10 million. Now that they've got the extra money, they absolutely have to invest in the running back spot and spend some of that money to improve the rushing attack. And again, I don't know that I care exactly how it is. I like Saquon Barkley the most of all the free agent running backs. Josh Jacobs is my number 2. But if you told me that it was Devin Singletary and DeAndre Swift, and that was your running back 1-2 punch going into the 2024 season, I'd be okay with that. But an investment beyond just retaining Devin Singletary is necessary at that running back spot. Also, when you unexpectedly end up with a couple of extra bucks in your pocket, I think about the Bennigan's jingle from back in the day. Humor me while I try to remember it. As I put on my daily attire, got my button flies out of the dryer. Next thing you know, I'm a wealthy man of means. I found $10 in the pocket of my jeans. I miss Bennigan's. They had a great Monte Cristo. I missed that commercial. I can't find it anywhere on the internet, or I'd play it for you. But my poor rendition is the best I could do for you. When you unexpectedly find some money, sometimes you buy something that you didn't think you could go and get. To me, the Texans can also use this little bit of extra cap space to go and chase a player that they didn't know was going to be available. Look, you can see who's set to be a free agent, who is and isn't going to be franchise tagged over the next couple of weeks before free agency gets here. So you can start predicting some of those names and start figuring out exactly how much you want to spend on those players. But guys who are cap casualties, veterans who aren't on board with the new direction of a team, young players who are just disappointing and management wants to move on, unexpectedly available players could be a great way to spend that unexpected $10 million that the salary cap jumped up that most of the teams didn't necessarily expect to have happen. So a player like Xavier Howard, which we've done a video here on YouTube breaking down his potential ad, a player like him who was cut by the Dolphins or going to be cut by the Dolphins and is now available when you didn't believe him to be available, that's a player that you can use some of this additional cap space on. Veterans that probably fill out the roster are the more of the focus, not always starters, but a guy like Howard would be a starter, but even just a key rotational player because that guy just lost his opportunity on one of these other teams. That's a way you can spend some of this additional money as well if you're the Houston Texans. So address the running back position because you've now got a little bit extra. I felt like they should splurge before. Now with even more money, splurge on the running back spot and address that and make 2024's rushing attack a dangerous element of this offense and play out how things go in the market and add one of these unexpectedly available free agents that pops up as well. That's what you can do with that extra $10 million if you're the Houston Texans. Now, I don't know that I'd tell everybody that I found an extra $10 million. There would be signs. There'd be signs. I would wash my truck more than I currently do, and I maybe would hire a makeup person to make me look, prettier for these videos as well, amongst many other things as well. And one more thing I do want to say about this extra cap space. And I saw one analyst at CBS Sports talk about this, and I don't totally agree. In fact, I vehemently disagree. This does not really change the projections for any of the free agents. Just because there's all of a sudden an additional $320 million or so, roughly speaking, in free agency money, potentially, it doesn't really change the evaluation of free agents. These guys are still expected to make what they're expected to make. Sure, maybe the top of the market guys, you find just a couple of extra bucks for that guy, but your 1B free agents, your B-level free agents, your second, third, fourth tier guys, their evaluations, they don't change. Guys like Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, they don't all of a sudden become $13, $14 million a year players because teams have a few more bucks to spend. They stick around at that evaluation of about $10, $11 million a year. Now, a guy like, say, Justin Madubuike, the defensive tackle for the Ravens, should he hit free agency, okay, he jumps up with a couple extra bucks in his pocket because of all this. But running backs, wide receivers, linebackers, guys who aren't stars or weren't stars this past year, they're not going to find a couple of extra bucks in their pocket. The teams are going to find a couple of extra player or players to spend that money on. So it doesn't change the evaluations of those players. What do you think? What would you spend an additional $10 million on? What should the Texans spend an additional $10 million on? Get in the comment section and let me know. The video might be over here in a moment, but the comment section always stays live. Love having the discussions with you in the comment section. On your way down to the comment section, throw me a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you've missed any of the free agent of the day videos, they're in a playlist on the channel, or you just search for sign or decline, or go through the channel here and we do a free agent, me and Landry Locker from the locker room here on YouTube, do a free agent breakdown each and every day, and that will not change. A couple of days away from the scouting combine, we'll find out this week what Nick Caserio thinks of a couple extra bucks of salary cap space as well. He speaks this week, as does D'Amico Ryans, about the state of the Houston Texans and sort of an off-season primer from both of the decision makers here for the organization. We'll break it down here on the YouTube channel as well. Don't go anywhere. Plenty of content for you here on YouTube. I appreciate you watching the video. I figured out another couple things I'd do with $10 million. I'd raffle off a lot of cool stuff for you guys and maybe have like a trip to the draft or something. But you have to get me an opportunity to find that $10 million if you want to win that. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.